Sawadee good evening. Welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. Tonight you're with me, Rungtip Chonapalai. The Deputy Prime Minister responsible for defense will be seeking the release of Thai citizens who were detained by Myanmar soldiers for forest encroachment last week. Meanwhile, family members of the detainees are meeting with the commander of the 25th Infantry Unit to seek assistance for the release of their relatives. Family members of 49 detainees who were caught by Myanmar soldiers in the forest of the Thai-Myanmar border on July the 4th will be traveling to meet with the commander of the 25th Infantry Unit in Ranong province to find out what the Thai authorities are doing to assist in freeing their relatives. At the same time, Colonel Ponsak Punsawat, commander of the 25th Infantry Unit, will talk to Colonel So Ao of Myanmar to find ways to help the Thais to return to their own country. General Yuttasak Sasiprapha, Deputy Prime Minister responsible for defense, indicated that the 49 detained Thais, 41 male and 8 female, have been kept in 8 homes under the Myanmar authorities' watch. He will work with the Myanmar authorities and free the detainees if they are found to have been tricked into working illegally in Myanmar. Officials investigating the matter, however, discovered that the Thai detainees had strayed into the forest to grow drugs and that legal action will be taken against them in the Myanmar court. Still, the number of wrongdoers has not yet been confirmed, but once legal action is taken against them, Thailand's Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Interior will provide assistance. Following the speculation that the Constitution Court judges rapidly reach a decision on whether or not the proposed amendments to the 2007 Constitution are against the law, it turns out there was no real progress in the case today. Meanwhile, the army is asking all political movements to respect the court's decision and not take to the streets no matter what outcome is. General Prayut Chan-o-cha, the army commander, is asking political activists to respect the Constitution Court's verdict when it is announced, as protests on the streets will affect on the country's peace and people's livelihoods. The commander suggested that everyone must respect the law. So far, red shirt leaders have not issued a clear date or location for their protest if there were to be one on Friday the 13th, when the final verdict is expected. The red shirt movement supports the government and government MPs in amending the constitution, claiming the current version drafted following the 2006 coup is not democratic. Meanwhile, the multicolored shirts, which are seen as opposing the poor Thai government, say they will surely gather at the Constitution Court to support the court's decision, whichever way it turns out. Deputy Prime Minister Chalerm Yubamrung was quoted by the press as saying that he is not worried that protesters of both sides might clash this Friday, since the embattled House Speaker and MPs who are in favor and those who are against the Constitution Amendment already presented their respective arguments to the judges last Friday. Political analysts expected some development in the court today, yet no real progress has been reported. The Industrial Estate Authority of Thailand will start to build the dikes if Saha Ratananakorn Company do not implement an immediate water prevention plan. Meanwhile, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration have reported the current progress of its water prevention projects. Wasan Miwong, spokesperson for the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration or BMA, stated that the flood prevention projects in Bangkok, including cleaning out the storm drains and the dredging the canal, are more than 70% complete. The BMA has set up a committee for water management strategy, which Bangkok Governor Mom Ratchawong Sukhumpan Boripat chairs, as well as 4 subcommittees to deliver the strategy and implementation. Followed a meeting between executives from the Saha Ratananakorn Company and representatives of factories in the area. Industrial Minister Mom Ratchawong Pongsavat Sawadiwat stated that the Industrial Estate Authority of Thailand or IEAT will manage the Saha Ratananakorn Industrial Estate and start to build the dikes if the Saha Ratananakorn Company do not have an immediate water prevention plan. IEAT is to build a dike which will be 7 meters high, higher than sea level, and install large sandbags at the front and rear. As for the road in front of the Saharatananakorn Industrial Estate, the Department of Rural Roads is responsible for increasing the elevation of the road. This work is expected to be completed within 60 days. The Ministry of Industry is to report progress to the Cabinet meeting tomorrow. Managing Director of the transport company explained that the discovery of a hand grenade inside Mochit bus terminal was not part of a planned attack on the terminal. Rather, police discovered it on a suspect who was traveling to another province. Police discovered an RGD-5 grenade hidden inside an abandoned backpack belonging to a suspect who was attempting but failed to evade arrest. After the search, officials found .38 and .22 millimeter guns along with ammunition which the suspect claimed were his own, which he was taking to southern Thailand. Wudichai Kalayanamit, Managing Director of the transport company, insisted that the incident was not a planned attack on the Mochit station. The suspect was, in fact, traveling to another province before his unexpected encounter with the police at the station. He then abandoned his backpack containing the grenade during his attempt to escape. For passenger safety, the transport company has set up strict security measures at every bus terminal and works with authorities both in and out of uniform for additional security. Additionally, staff at the CCTV control center monitors every activity within the terminals. Continuing economic turmoil is taking a toll on a number of Western countries, but a distinguished panel at the Sassin Forum agrees that prospects for ASEAN nations remain positive. Still, domestic challenges exist and need to be overcome so that ASEAN countries, including Thailand, can fully benefit from the growth.
The rise of Asia can be attributed to the rapid economic growth of developing Asian nations, increasing spending power and expanding middle class, and its geographical advantages. Yet, Asia remains vulnerable to external factors such as the ongoing Eurozone debt crisis and tensions in the Middle East. Although greater economic linkage is beneficial, Asian countries still need significant reform from within.
Very important point is whether we could obtain the organizational competency to support the growth. And this is a critical point. And to put it more precisely, we have to pay great attention to those matters. The first, definitely required, is a strong leadership of a top management or a head of nation. Big politicians is necessary. And the second is the innovation of technology and business model. This is the second part. And the third is surely the education of people.
While Asia is projected to trend towards growth over the coming years, doubts endure as to whether or not Thailand can realize the benefits of the rapid development in Asia.
But I'm quite fearful that I and my colleagues, in this case 65 million colleagues in the country, would fail, fearful that we would fail to grasp this opportunity and come up with a set of well thought out, well deliberated, well calibrated set of policies and the right strategies to make it happen.
Certainly, the continued development of Asian economies and the improving market links in the region are very welcome. Still, as experts note, a sustainable development requires not just capital investment, but national development through good governance. Niranut Traijakwanit, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Khun Niranut. Following a tourism sector workshop, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra says she is confident that the tourism industry will achieve its total revenue target for this year Earlier, I spoke with Piyaman Techapaiboon, the president of the Tourism Council of Thailand, who pointed out that both government and the private sector should come up with a security policy to ensure the safety of tourists for immediate implementation.
For policy, first of all, is the safety for the tourists. That's the key issue. Secondly, is that the product, the destinations that we have a lot of tourists visiting. So right now we need to improve such a things. And then the third one is that we're going to reach AEC soon. So the private sector and then also the labor force need a lot of training, which is right now I think that I believe the government have such a policies to really train all these people, especially our weakness, such as the languages, maybe not only the English anymore, we should have like Chinese also, so that need to be considered.
And maybe some other languages,
Bahasa, Indonesian. Indonesian have population 280 million people, and then right now arrival of tourists from Indonesia is only 300,000, so there's a lot of potentials coming up in the future. And then last is very important issue is that the work management between each sector, because tourism involve a lot of people, so private sector, governments, provincial authorities, and then the public. It's very important that we have goals together, and then we need to solve the problems together. That's the key issue that very challenging for the future.
Yeah, as for the workshop, you think that that will, maybe boost the confidence of tourism in Thailand?
Yeah, it will help though. But anyway, if there's a plans and then no implement, that will not achieve so. So I mean, this is at least a good start that we have such a things. But depends on, as I said, for sector, which is we need to help each other to achieve such a goal.
While the Eurozone debt crisis remains unresolved, world-class aircraft producer Airbus claims that European carriers are not backing down on aviation business as much as some predicted. The airlines are foresee continued growth in passenger numbers. However, Airbus did tell ThaiPBS that carriers in Asia-Pacific represent the leading potential buyers of new aircraft. Kun Supajon Kinsuban reports from Germany.
Based in Europe as one of the world's biggest airplane manufacturers, how has the Euro crisis hit you so far?
Well, luckily I must say so far we're not really that much affected. What we see is that our customers, so the airlines, start to have trouble financing their aircraft from European banks. So financing of aircraft has become more difficult through European financing means. We still see a very high demand for air traffic in Europe and worldwide. It's there and it's growing. Right. So in that we're not that much worried. And we also see that financing opportunities that may have become more limited in Europe start to appear in China, in Asian countries, and all around the world. So as a whole, I must say the aviation industry so far is very resilient, and I cannot actually complain. And so far we do manage very well. We did not see any cancellations of orders. Right. We have orders from all around the world. Obviously growth is a global phenomenon in the aviation industry. We assume and we see that in the long run aviation industry and demand for capacity will double nearly every 15 years.
Right. So you're saying that the European carriers have not canceled their orders and all that?
No, there is still a lot of need for travel, and because we do cater for legacy carriers and mainline carriers just as well as for low-cost carriers, whenever there's a shift in passengers between, let's say, from a high premium segment to low cost, we do sell to both types of airlines. So as such, the demand is very stable.
Would you say that Asia Pacific is a key player?
Definitely Asia Pacific is a strong region where we see the most of the growth. There is definitely less growth in Europe and also in North America, but the Middle East, Asia, India, those are very strong drivers for growth worldwide, sustainable growth in the long run.
Thank you, Kun Supajon. The 45th regional meeting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and the wider ASEAN Regional Forum opened today. This year's meeting is chaired by Cambodia and is being held in the capital of Phnom Penh. Here's more from Kun Hieu Adam.
Today, foreign ministers from ASEAN gathered for the opening ceremony in the Cambodian capital to kick off the annual summit. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen gave the opening remarks, saying the ASEAN members should fully cooperate with each other to tackle issues such as human rights violations and to promote security to maintain peace in the region. The week-long summit brings together 12 member nations and several partner countries like China, Japan, Myanmar and South Korea. The European Union Foreign Affairs Minister Catherine Ashton and US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton are also expected to take part. The foreign ministers had already met on Sunday, ahead of the formal meetings, to discuss a draft of the proposed ASEAN Intergovernmental Human Rights Agreement. Human rights leaders had expressed concern over the draft ahead of the meeting. Human Rights Watch said in a statement that ASEAN foreign ministers must make a public commitment to ensure that the forthcoming ASEAN Human Rights Declaration will fully comply with international human rights standards. The 5-day meeting is expected, however, to be dominated by a territorial dispute over the South China Sea. In the latest conflict between Asian neighbors in the disputed region, the Philippine government protested against China's planned move to place virtually the entire South China Sea under the jurisdiction of a newly created city. Hugh Adams, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Hugh. And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. Thank you for watching. I'm Rungtip Chonapalai. สวัสดีค่ะ